Ladies and gentlemen, we're back talking about Johnny Somali again because there's been a major update in his case. As you can see here, Johnny Somali has pled not guilty to 2 charges about deepfakes, which are illegal in South Korea. Those charges can carry up to 10.5 years in Korean jail each, meaning that together, if Johnny Somali was to get the maximum punishment, he would get 21 years in jail. Now, of course, I'm not going to say that he is going to get that. I think it's probably unlikely that they do, but you know, you can hope. And that only piles on top of the other charges that Johnny Somali is facing. As Dexerto notes in their tweet here, with all the charges combined, he's facing a maximum of up to 36 years in jail. And in his court hearing the other day, they added multiple charges. They added the 2 deepfake charges, as well as another obstruction of business charge. Now, the obstruction of business charges can also potentially carry jail time. Now, I don't think it's incredibly common for them to carry jail time, but you never know with how many of these charges Johnny Somali seems to be stacking up, especially where he seems to have pled guilty to most of them. So if we take a look here at the Legal Mindset chart. Now, if you guys don't know, Legal Mindset has been following the Johnny Somali case very closely, and he's put together a chart of all the charges that Johnny Somali is facing, what they were about, and how Johnny Somali pled. But if you just want to hear about his latest court appearance on the 16th, the highlights, according to Legal Mindset, were that Johnny pled guilty to all charges but deepfakes and new obstruction. New charge for obstruction, 3rd count. Next trial is August 13th, 4 p.m. for testimony on deepfakes, 4 to 5 hours estimate. That's right, I gotta point out, August 13th is his next trial, and that's just testimony for his deepfake case. Johnny Somali is gonna be stuck there for so long. If they're putting months wait between his initial appearance and the start of his actual trial, I cannot imagine that he's gonna be out of South Korea, that all of this is gonna be wrapped up by the end of the year. I mean, he's got so many charges here, and if the court keeps putting all of his trials off for months and months and months, he's never gonna get out of there. The process is gonna be the punishment. At that point, South Korea is basically just a jail for him because he can't leave and he can't do anything there except for wait for his next trial. So that's crazy. But if you want to know exactly what's going on with the Johnny Somali trial right now, this is where to look, right? This chart right here. So he's gotten charged with obstruction of business count 1, which carries a maximum penalty of 5 years. Now, I do think that in all of the obstruction of business, the maximum penalty for jail time, I think that's very rarely given out. I don't think they give that out all the time. However, he has been charged with at least 3 counts of that now. So I guess we'll have to see what the judge says. This first count was for disrupting a 7-Eleven, where he allegedly threw ramen around, and he pled guilty to that. So he's already entered a guilty plea with the court on that count. Next up, we have a violation of the Minor Crimes Act, which has a maximum penalty of a fine or 30 days in jail, and that was because he was allegedly carrying around rotting fish and harassing people with it. Johnny Somali has also pled guilty to that. Next up is a second charge for violating the Minor Crimes Act, and that's the same punishment as the one before, but this time he was apparently allegedly disturbing a bus and the metro system, and Johnny's already pled guilty to that. Then we have the second obstruction of business charge, which can again carry a maximum of 5 years in jail, and that's for him playing loud music on a bus, and he's also pled guilty to that. Now, all these ones we've covered right now, all these guilty pleas were entered in his last court date a month ago. So these next ones are all from the court date that he just had the other day. The deepfake count 1, which carries a maximum of 10.5 years in jail. This charge alleges that Johnny Somali made a deepfake of 2 Korean streamers kissing. Now, if I remember correctly, there were 2 male Korean streamers kissing, and yeah, it's a violation of the law in Korea. Johnny Somali did do something interesting here. He pled not guilty, which means he's going to trial. He did the same thing on the second count of deepfakes that he's facing, which carries the same punishment of up to 10.5 years in jail, where he allegedly made deepfakes of a streamer named Bong Bong. He's pled not guilty to that as well. So these 2 are definitely going to trial, and he's going to have to contest that he violated the law on this. I don't know if in South Korea they have innocent until proven guilty. If they do, maybe he's in luck, but I don't know. It just seems like the South Korean legal system is set up. It's going to be hard for him to beat these, but not impossible. He could do it, I guess, if he is actually innocent. We'll find out. Lastly, there's this last charge of obstruction of business count 3, which can also carry a maximum of 5 years in jail, and this is for when he disrupted a ride at Lotte World, which is like an amusement park in South Korea. Now, on here, Legal Mindset has him as pleading not guilty because this is what everybody thought he was doing in the actual trial, but Legal Mindset did actually put up a amendum to this, saying that it appears Ramsey has stated that he intended to plead not guilty on the new obstruction charge, but a guilty plea was entered for this new charge by his lawyer, whether accidentally or not, and this has now been confirmed by Korean media as of this post. I have updated my chart with an appropriate annotation to the new obstruction charge, which means that apparently Johnny Somali said in court that he was pleading not guilty to this last charge of obstruction of business, but his lawyer put on paper that he's pleading guilty, so I don't actually know if he's pleading guilty or not guilty. I don't know what takes precedent. Does his statement in court take precedent, or does the lawyer's paperwork take precedent? Who knows? And that wasn't the only thing that went on at the trial either. There wasn't just this confusion. there was some other stuff that happened. For instance, Johnny Somali showed up late to his court date again, right? According to Dexerto here in this article by Michael William, despite showing up late to his first court date and being warned by the judge, Somali was reportedly late again and had his lawyer looking for him in the courthouse before taking the stand. As per YouTuber Legal Mindset, Somali faced 2 counts of distributing deepfakes, but he disputed these claims, pleading not guilty. However, his lawyer couldn't provide any evidence of his innocence, something Somali denies. So Johnny Somali says that this part is incorrect. I'm not sure how the legal system's set up in South Korea. I don't know if you even need to prove innocence. Like I said earlier, they could be innocent until proven guilty. I'm not a Korean lawyer. That being said, I also know that Legal Mindset had also mentioned that one of the court paperworks that Johnny Somali's lawyer had filed with the court was not signed. Now, I can't verify that. I have not dug through South Korean court records, mainly because I can't read Korean. But Legal Mindset seems to know what he's talking about on this, at least in my opinion, and so we'll trust him on that. And apparently the judge was a little annoyed that Johnny Somali's lawyer may have missed a signature on some paperwork. So yeah, just another thing to add onto the pile. This entire thing is a shit show, and I don't know how Johnny Somali gets out of this without going to jail for a long time. You know, it's one of those things where, as he's a foreigner, I think they honestly probably would, even if he gets found guilty on all of the obstruction of business and minor crimes act, I don't think they'd put him in jail for that, right? But with everything compounding together, it's not looking good for him. I mean, if I was that judge, I'd be a little concerned at all these charges. Now, of course, it really depends on whether or not he gets convicted on these deepfake counts, because if he comes out innocent on these, I very much doubt that he'll go to jail for any significant period of time. But if he gets convicted on these deepfake counts, who knows? He could go to jail for a very, very, very long time. It all depends on how the judge is feeling, and I can't imagine that the South Korean judge is enthralled with Johnny and loves him so much that he's going to give him an easy sentence if Johnny's found guilty. So it looks pretty bad for Johnny Somali. He's facing up to, according to Dexerto, a total of 36 years in jail. What do you guys think? Do you think that Johnny Somali will get 36 years in jail? Do you think that he deserves 36 years in jail, or is that a little excessive for what he's been doing? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Remember to like and subscribe. Have a great day, and God bless you.